our country's positioning as far as the climate change conversation is concerned at COP30 this year. The main meetings happens in the next 2 days, and I will be participating in high-level discussions for and on behalf of our country. All of you know by now our stand that we've taken in global fora. Papua New Guinea is a renowned rainforest nation. We also are renowned in terms of biodiversity. Both our oceans and our forest has tremendous biodiversity. Conversation on climate change is totally redundant or not complete without conversations around forest resource management as well as ocean resource management. The world also knows our position very, very clearly. We've been also invited to participate in high-level global discourses on these matters, as most of you also know. For instance, King Charles's invitation of me in a private sessions he's been having in as far as climate change advocacy is concerned. Papua New Guinea's position is very simple. The world has not shut down on fossil fuel use. Rather, the fossil fuel use remains big, especially in the face of global supply chain shortages in transition, what I label as transition energy, the LNG and other clean energy options that has not been quickly utilized yet globally. The world still uses fossil fuels. Coal still remains very much a big use in many of our big carbon emitters. And so our conversation, PNG's contribution to the world's discussions on climate change has been simple. Let's save our forests, as well as in the forest, our biodiversities we have. Let's manage our ocean resource very well. In doing so, the carbon sinks remain very much active, and as we make transition to cleaner energy-based solutions in time. That transition, in my humble view, should take place in the next 20 years or so. If we are to save our planet from the travesty of climate change and the effect of climate change, including sea level rises, changing weather patterns, that has a direct effect on what is emerging as a big global security issue, and that is food insecurity. So in this line of conversations, we have been strong in our advocacy that whilst we all have our own local economic needs in our respective economies, the entire planet must gravitate towards the climate change sensitivities, preserving the earth, including the forest as well as the ocean resources. Papua New Guinea qualifies to have those advocacies. We are victims of climate change in our country. Two of our island communities, the Modlok and Catharas, were the first to, evidently first to have relocated from the island homes to Bougainville mainland as a result of sea level rise, salination of the arable lands, salination of the waters, so to speak. So in that context, we are amongst the first to have experienced the effect of climate change, together with the rest of our small Pacific Island states. And in that context, we talk on mitigations as well as adaptations. In our view, we qualify in both sides, both the mitigation conversations as well as the adaptation conversations. And our adaptation conversations has, we've been strong proponents of not relocation, but rather maintaining lifestyle in the island homes of origin. And so our conversations in that space has been had. We one more time attended COP. And for PNG under my administration, since 2019, I have not attended COPs proper. I've been at the critical side of the COP meetings in the last few COPs, simply at the backdrop that there seemed to be no seriousness in major carbon footprint holders, the G20 economies and others who still use fossil fuel. And so if the conversation is not seriously taken, then what is the haste in attending COP meetings? That has been my beef with the world, especially those who have huge carbon footprints. For PNG as a climate change victim in our small island states and our coastal communities with the Pacific Island nations, and as the biggest country in the Pacific Island Forum nations, we hold our grounds to advocate for those who have been victims. But this is an extraordinary COP for Papua New Guinea. Brazil is hosting it. Brazil is a forest nation, in fact the biggest forest nation, and for the first time a forest nation is hosting a COP meeting. That is very much incongruent with Article 5 and Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Article 5 and Article 6 talks about forestry resource management. And so being a first for COP meetings, where a forest nation is now hosting, PNG is joining Brazil as a big forest nation. We belong to the 10th parcel of tropical rainforest, third only to the Amazon basins and the Congo basins. The PNG, Indonesia, Malaysia forests are the third big parcel of tropical rainforest we have. Papua New Guinea has high integrity forest. Our forest has, in terms of our forest resource management, has been better than most. We have very, very minimal logging footprints. Much of our land, still 70% of Papua New Guinea's forests remain in its primary stage. That means high volume of carbon sink, a high volume of biodiversity. In that context, we will be joining Brazil to advocate for forest of the world, and for us in the tropical forest, the belts, to ask the world, if you want us to save our forest for the benefit of the entire human family, globally speaking, then someone out there with huge carbon footprint must commensurate their carbon footprints by assisting in conservation dollars. For PNG, conservation dollars must come in to assist landowners who have land rights to those forest areas. Their forest needs to be preserved. We need to find the dollars to assist them preserve the forest for the benefit of not just PNG and the landowners, but more importantly, the global family. This conversation is important. I want to bridge this to oceans management. Papua New Guinea will soon deposit our ratification as soon as we complete the ratification process. Deposit our ratification at the United Nations sometimes early next year to indicate that we will conserve at minimum 30% of our forest, I beg your pardon, our ocean spaces to the conservation efforts. Ocean is equally important. Papua New Guinea also straddles, we're right in fact at the epicenter of the coral triangles, the richest marine biodiversity on planet Earth. And so in that context, we are working. Minister of Fisheries is here this morning. He can confirm, but Papua New Guinea next year will host the Oceans Economic Ministers Forum. It's also to the magnitude of COP meetings. And this is a precursor to 2030, a possibility of Papua New Guinea hosting the Global Oceans Conference, similar to the one hosted at Nice last year. We have put our hands up. France and many of our partner nations has offered support for Papua New Guinea to host Oceans Conference, and so we are poised to host the Global Oceans Conference in 2030. By the way, we're offering our support to Australia to host COP31. And Australia is not just Australia per se. Australia is hosting in the context of the Pacific small island states and Pacific island countries. And so Papua New Guinea will also place our full support for Australia to host COP31 next year. And in that process, we will be jointly also setting space, especially around our rainforest conversations. As I said earlier, the COP30, I beg your pardon, the Oceans Conference is a big one that is being sequenced for PNG to be a host. That is indication to our country, Papua New Guinea's place in the world in as far as biodiversity conversation, ocean resource management conversation, and forest resource management conversation, absolutely noted by the global community, and our participation in COP30 this year around will be quite prominent in the context of discussion around forestry and forest resource management. I want to also take this press to announce, and our Deputy Prime Minister has successfully led our delegation to APEC at South Korea. It was a good meeting for us. Our presence was evident, and I want to announce to our country that the APEC Secretariat and our APEC family have accepted our bid to host APEC in 2033. And so I'm breaking this news to our country that 2033 Papua New Guinea will host APEC once again in our country. It has been accepted, and so those of you who are coming in early for this press, you can break it to your readers, your hearers, that in 2033 PNG will host APEC once again. So a couple of big things happening. 2030, the Oceans Conference, and 2033, the APEC once again will be hosted here. Not to mention 2028, our NRL team is running on for the first time, and so much of this is shaping up PNG life post our 50th anniversary. The world knows we certainly exist in this part of the world. In the midst of many contests that is happening, PNG's place certainly in the global family of nations